Hello, good morning, and welcome. This is Sunrise Daily. I'm Aide marking it. Today is August the 8th in the year 2025, and our weather is looking something in the region of 26 degrees. Well, it's still rather cold, especially in the night. I don't know how it is there with you in Abuja, Kela.
Good morning and welcome to the Friday edition of your Daily Dose of Sunshine. I'm Kayla Megwa. And Ayo, we've been saving money on electricity. And I'll tell you why. No AC. Nobody has been turning on the air conditioning for the past 1 month or so because it's cold at night. It's really cold. So if you open up your windows, you actually even start to feel like you need to cover up a little bit more. It's a pretty cold city. It was particularly cold yesterday night, but we're here this Friday, and it's time for us to take a look at some of the major stories that have been trending all through the week, Ayo.
Actually, quite a lot of them. Really, Kayla, I mean, how many can we cover in the space of maybe 30 minutes or even the 1 hour that we have? But the fact that we can open up all of these conversations from time to time is always a good thing for us, isn't it? Well, thankfully, you have someone there who is going to look at some of the issues with us this morning. One that is particularly concerning for me is this whole WAEC thing making the rounds. And what are we telling the young people? First it was JAMB, we were having issues with it back and forth, and now it is WAEC again. It would seem like, I don't know. Anyway, you have someone there with you, so please just go ahead.
It's okay. It's okay. I got you. I got you. Joining us this morning, we have with us Mr. Laolo Akonde, who's a former presidential aide and presenter of Inside Sources. Thank you so much for being with us on the program this morning.
Good morning, Kela.
Let's start off with what I talked about. This broad situation. I keep wondering about the future of our country when it comes to young people. We're not setting proper examples for young people in this country, and we're ignoring the fact that this is going to impact what kind of adults they grow into. We saw all those disappointing videos, people writing exams in the night time, and you know, our guest, when we had that conversation, said it very clearly. You can't expect excellence when this is the situation on ground. What do you make of this WAEC story?
Well, you know, quite a lot of directions that we can go to, but the one that interests me the most is the abandonment of human capital development by the state governors. Education is on the concurrent list, and for the most part, the local governments take care of the primary schools. Essentially, the secondary schools are taken care of by the state, and tertiary education is normally where the federal government comes in directly. Not that you don't have a mixed match, you know, you have federal government do some secondary school here and there, you have state government also do universities. But essentially, this is a responsibility of state governors. Now, what had happened is that you have a plan to bring the level of the objectivity of this examination a notch higher. That's why they're using the computer-based testing, you know, which reduces the chances for, you know, any kind of prank or games or fraud. So I think we have to give ourselves a bit of time to go through all of that. But the most important thing is that we need state governors, in my view, to take care of the human capital development. It's their job what happens in the classrooms. It's their job whether there is light. It's their job whether there are teachers. It's their job whether people are going to school. And we need to keep calling them out. It's a situation that they need to pay attention to. And then, of course, we also call the government, the federal government in its own area, trying to define policy, and they have to carry the state government along in the overall policy, especially when it has to do with tertiary education. But I think also the computer-based testing is a good way to go because we need to check the fraud in the system, which is huge.
Yes. I mean, it's one of the biggest tricks I think that has been played on the Nigerian people, focus on the federal government.
Yeah.
And then people forget that actually, state governors, I don't know if you agree with me on this one, but I believe that state governors are more powerful than the president.
Well, especially in their state.
In their state, of course in their states.
Yeah.
You know, they control so much.
Yeah.
If the president had that kind of power,
and nobody is focusing on them.
Yes, no one is checking it.
People
No
can
one is
stay in their state and commit, just saying
all kinds of things.
And
yes.
then
It's the biggest trick, but it's changing, isn't it? We've started that conversation. We're championing the cause of getting state governors to be a little bit more circumspect.
Absolutely.
And get the people to call state governors out, make sure that they are accountable.
Absolutely.
I hope the Nigerian Governors Forum is watching this one. I hope it's something that they talk about when they have their meetings and whatnot.
We insist on that agenda. We continue to call them out, if it is about health, if it is about education, if it's about agriculture. The state governments have all the powers to take charge, and they have the funds, the resources to do it. If it is not happening, let us keep calling them out.
I mean, even the president has been calling them out recently.
Yes.
Because if you can, sometimes it's important to listen to the message behind what the president is saying.
Yeah.
Sometimes he says things, and what he's actually doing is calling you out. He's saying, listen, you have to actually go grassroots with this. You campaigned. You got into power. You are responsible for what happens in that place. But we'll have to move on to another topic. I'm going to start off with this one. I don't know much. I listen to his music. You know, I think he's a fantastic musician, even though I don't understand what he says in his music. But this story is one of the most shocking stories to come out from him. I've never heard this sort of story about him. K1, the ultimate, put on the no-fly list right now over this airport security breach.
Right.
We hear some pilots have been suspended as well.
Right.
You know, his daughter has been responding, you know, whether it is water, whether it is alcohol that was in the flask. What do you make of this entire story?
Yeah, it's very, it's not looking good at all, both on King Wasiu Aide, who we all love, by the way. It's not looking good on him. It's not looking good on the pilots who took that risk, knowing that somebody was there. Now, you could say that it was Wasiu's, King Wasiu Aide's fault that he ought not to be there. You know, if he wasn't going in, somebody should have checked him out. He should have checked himself out. They had a debate. They had an argument. You know, you could hold Wasiu responsible for that, okay? But you also have to hold the pilots responsible for not being cautious. You know, I mean, if Wasiu did not, quickly, I mean, he shouldn't be there. You know, don't get me right. Yeah. Don't get me wrong.
If he didn't quickly move.
But if he didn't quickly move, he'll be dead.
We'll be having a different conversation this morning.
So what my point is that there is enough blame to go to both parties in this matter. But what I will say to King Wasiu Aide is that you need to own up to your irresponsibility, and that is the best way to redeem yourself in this situation. You had no business contesting with the airline officials how it is that you get in. The rules are the rules. And in some of the things they have said about him, saying that, don't you know who I am? Well, I will say that most Nigerian elites will say that. So, not that we are shocked. But King Wasiu Aide, you have a greater reputation. You got to own up to this act of irresponsibility and apologize because of who you are. And then let's begin to sort matters from there.
That's a very important thing, because of who he is.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes we can be stuck in our bubbles and we don't realize how much impact we have on people.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know him personally. I don't understand what he's
huge.
But we love him because of the way we see you all love him.
Yeah.
And we listen to the music because he's most likely saying something fantastic.
He's extraordinarily talented.
I can imagine.
Extraordinarily talented.
And a legend, someone who has stood the test of time, been through government after government, and still been able to keep a good reputation. And I really hope that he comes out of this.
Yeah, I mean,
it's very, very...
It's very sad. I mean, he needs to own up to what he has done and then apologize.
Someone sent us a message, but he said, what about the airport security?
Yeah, and that's true.
Someone just sent that message. Because, what about airport security?
But I think there's a bit of intimidation involved in that, Kayla, as you must know.
Yeah.
So he approached the aircraft, but the question is that he shouldn't have actually gotten out of the of the reception, you know, where it is at the terminal where people get to the terminal, that is when they ought to have stopped in. So we need to, the airline needs to go back and look at their processes and try and correct the errors.
Because that actually kind of points to a systemic problem.
Yeah.
Because you have to be able to do your job regardless of who you're looking at.
Absolutely.
It's one of the strangest things.
Absolutely, absolutely.
All right, let's move on now to another story. The Emir of Kano.
Right.
Who hasn't spoken in a very long time. He's been away.
Right.
But granted us an interview here, which I think was really fantastic. And he said thieves should not be rewarded with ministerial appointments.
Yeah. So
I wish he named names. I wish he named names. He wouldn't. But you know, it's a very interesting dynamic that we've been seeing. I mean, people have been talking about even Mr. Hadi Sirika, for instance, who was made a chief in his hometown. That made headlines over the week. People were wondering, how is this happening? What happens to the value system? But he hasn't been convicted, has he?
Yeah. Well, the problem is that our values descended so drastically in the last decade or thereabout, or a little over a decade, to the extent that we started to push this narrative that the fact that somebody was accused doesn't mean that they are convicted, which is true, but then we can then push them to leadership. No. If you are accused and there's a prima facie case against you, the thing to do honorably is to go and sort yourself out.
Stay away from the limelight.
Yes, you know, don't take public responsibilities. Don't take on a public trust. You know, but we got ourselves enmeshed in a situation where we embraced that kind of narrative, say that okay, where they accused him, he's not been proven guilty, and all of our leaders must share in the responsibility. People that we appoint people like that into offices, they also must take in the blame of what it is that it has become. If you have a criminal case against you, you have no business being appointed into office until you sort yourself out. You know, because this is how all of these things happen. You know, and what the Emir is saying, you can't argue with the fact that we do have instances where people who hold the public trust have been seen, known to have been implicated in all kinds of shady deals. And I think in our own interest, that got to stop. If somebody is not cleared, please don't appoint him. There are over 200 million Nigerians. I can tell you that for any public position in this country, you will find thousands and hundreds of thousands of people who are qualified and who don't have that kind of a baggage. So we need to treat ourselves better and with a little bit more respect.
The modus operandi for putting people in public office, over the years, it has become public knowledge that it is based on politics. So it's a reward in many ways. It comes rewarding people, people give lists of names, and then because of your loyalty or because of what this person has done for you, these are the appointments that you give whoever that person is. So it doesn't feel like a value system. It doesn't feel like when we're trying to pick people for ministerial appointments and whatnot, that the person comes with the right credentials or is the man for the job. There's always that political element that comes into it. And sometimes that political element overshadows whatever moral questions we may have around said individual. Is there a way that this can be sorted out, or are we just talking to ourselves again?
So we cannot allow the expedient to take the place of the moral. You know, you must always have a moral authority if you are in a position of public trust. The most important element in the composition of that assignment and that duty and that position is your moral authority. Look, if you don't have moral authority, people don't need to listen to you. They don't want to listen to you, even if you are the best person for the job. It is that moral authority, that unwritten code that is written in all of our acts that allows anything to be done. And people make assumption that if you are in a position of authority, it's because you are somebody that people can listen to, people can follow. So the moment that is questioned, our political leaders must find other political ways of rewarding people. The only way to reward politicians is not by putting them in public office, especially if they have questions on their character. There are other kinds of things that can be done to reward people. You cannot reward people with the future of Nigeria. You know, the future of Nigeria, the future of 200 million people is far too significant, is far too big than to use it merely as a reward system.
I'm going to bring Ayo in shortly, but this one, I'm going to just tease you with it. Yes. The idea that many of the abandoned estates in the nation's capital are owned by civil servants.
Well, it's the speculation that is all over town.
It's old story. It's old news, isn't it? But they are bigger. There's a whole loophole. We can't just, the civil servants said, no. Someone gave the land. Okay. Someone signed the documents. Somebody in Aegis did the work. Someone in FCT authorities. So there's a lot of you that are involved in this situation. But I'm going to bring Ayo in right now in this conversation. Ayo, go ahead.
Well, thank you, Kayla. I think even that, because I was going to, find a way to connect all the dots in this matter, because the issue you are discussing with Mr. Akande, the issue she's been discussing with you, is that of morals and all those things. Something that Emir Sanusi said was that when he was in primary school, I think he was in primary school, that there was a subject called civics, and there was another one called moral instructions, and that those are the things, according to him, that built, the kind of leadership qualities that he needed to become who he would eventually become, in life. And I'm pretty sure that a number of people who are in government today were in the same class with him. Whether or not they learned the same things, another thing altogether. However, bringing that into the Constitution, Chapter 2, Section 23 of the Constitution of Nigeria talks about our national ethics. And I find it very, very interesting. National ethics shall be discipline, integrity, dignity of labor, social justice, religious tolerance, self-reliance, and patriotism. Now, we also now have a national integrity, ethics and integrity policy, which draws itself from its strength from 5 of our instruments of law, including the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And there are 7 core values taken into that. Is there a way to really legislate character? Because that's the issue that, Emir Sanusi is talking about. The people who, in that statement that the EFCC put out, that the lands are owned, the estates are owned by civil servants. And as Kayla has said, it's a value chain of activities, one person or the other, from one table or the other. So really, is there a way to legislate character in a way that what we're talking about now, we won't be talking about it? Is there a way?
Yeah, thank you, Ayo. A very excellent approach there. Of course, you cannot legislate character. There are assumptions that are made about good behavior, which, like Emir Sanusi said, used to be taught. As we were going to school, they were teaching us all of these things. In our houses, our parents were teaching us. Our brothers, our sisters, especially the older ones, held themselves out as good examples that we can follow. What we can do that we have not done is that we have not been punishing people who break this trust. There is impunity in the land. And that is how we got to where we are today. You can't legislate good behavior, but we have to be able to punish misbehavior in public office. And we have not been doing a good job of that. You have situations where even public servants who have been found guilty are able to be snuck in through the back door. We all remember the case of Mena. It turns out that after all the conviction and all the money stolen that was proven in court, the guy was hiding in a place as a director until he was caught again. And there are all kinds of examples like that. So impunity, the consequence of impunity is what we are seeing today. Okay. That has produced, that statement by Emir Sanusi to say that we have thieves who are in public positions. So because once somebody is able to do it and there is no consequence.
Yeah. That's exactly what the problem is. Now, you said that we haven't been able to punish. When I hear the word we, I would like us to decrypt it. This national ethics and ethics and integrity policy, I'm reading it from the website of the ICPC. Some of the contents of the integrity and ethics policy, they drew strength from the ICPC's, the law that set up the ICPC. So who should be enforcing the Constitution, Chapter 23 in particular? When people swear when they are sworn into office, Mr. Akonde, they swore by the Constitution to uphold the Constitution. And when they do not uphold the Constitution, it will seem like we just say, you see, that's how they all do. They, please, decrypt who are they. The EFCC example, for instance, yes, the EFCC story, for instance, where the EFCC chairman says the abandoned estates are owned by civil servants, whether retired or in office. I think we should follow Kayla's example. It's a value chain. An estate doesn't just spring up. Someone has to allot the land. Someone has to verify that this land. Someone has to affirm, okay, who is the person behind it? We know the person behind it is a civil servant, and we still go ahead. A good number of people ought to be compelled to answer questions. Some heads need to roll. But this is what we hear all the time, Mr. Akonde. And we just hear, okay, this is what happens, and then after that, what next? So what Mr. Akonde, what the Emir is saying, and what the EFCC chairman is saying, it will seem like another story, which will wait until another one happens, and then we'll reference it again. Who should be calling who to account on this matter?
Yeah, I mean, thank you so much, Ayo. Let's just take it like this. So somebody like Emir Sanusi is not in position to enforce the law, but is in position to speak truth, which as an emir is doing a good job at. Now, somebody like Mr. Ola Olukoyede is actually in a position to enforce the law. And so, I mean, I have made comments about his crusading zeal, that is Mr. Olukoyede, but he has to do more than that. He has the authority to go after those things and deal with them. And if he has challenges in doing his job, he has to say it if he wants to continue to do the job with the kind of regard that we have for him. So I'm saying that all of us, we are responsible. The political leaders who take these decisions or who prevent these decisions from being taken are responsible. We, the people who keep silent when all of these things are going on and we can't even speak out, we are responsible. Because what it seems to me, Ayo, is that a lot of our elite, people who have voices, and I'm not saying all of them, what it seems is that they are just waiting for their own turn. You know, that is why they can't speak up against the ills of the society. This is who we have become as a people. We have become tolerant of all these misbehaviors and this misconduct. Our expectations of public service and public trust is at the barest minimum. And all of us are behaving as if it is good and dandy. So it's all of us. But of course, the greater responsibility goes to the people who have the authority. People like Olukoyede, who should not just tell us that there's a problem in NNPC, not just tell us that civil servants are the one owning the houses. Oh, yeah. Take them to jail. Yes. Take them to court. Conviction. And if you're serious. So that's what we need. Yes. By the way, great man, you know, and I have a lot of admiration for him. But it's not just an advocate. He has the opportunity himself, the chairman of ICPC, the Nigerian police, all the law enforcement agencies. We need them to help us to turn the hand of the clock in this country.
I mean, I want to be able to talk to you about one more thing before we go, and it's Showore's arrest. We're seeing that, he was here not too long ago. We just had a conversation. I think it was picked up the next day after our conversation with him right here on Sunrise Daily. And we're seeing, in fact, we're seeing the Nigerian Labour Congress saying, look, this is one arrest too many. If there's a problem, get to it. I'm even seeing that he has posted again this morning saying his arms and his legs are broken,
Yeah.
and that he was brought out of that cell.
Yeah.
He was attacked inside that cell, and
Yeah.
saying they were taking him to court.
Right.
What do you make of this situation? Did he make this bed? Because there are people that feel like, well, over the years, there are a lot of cases that he, that the police have against him. There are many people, there are many areas where they're asking for him to come and answer for whatever crimes they say he has committed. Is it just one of those situations, or is this someone being attacked in your view?
I think that if the state had any convincing case against Omoyele Sowore, he would have been in jail by now. They don't have, it doesn't seem to me that they have any convincing arguments against him. I think it has just degenerated into a personality kind of stuff, and they want to, quote unquote, teach him a lesson. And we need to call out the Inspector General of Police, Mr. Kayode Egbetokun. You cannot allow yourself to be drawn into a personal fight with Mr. Omoyele Sowore, or anybody for that matter. Your responsibility, sir, is to stick by the rules of engagement, is to stick by the law. If Omoyele Sowore has broken the law, please diligently prosecute a case against him in an open court. This idea of detaining him beyond the time that the law allows, breaking his hand, harassing him, this is unacceptable, Mr. Egbetokun. And you need to talk to your people to stop this kind of behavior. We all support the police. We need the police. But this kind of behavior, it threatens, it reduces our trust in your leadership and in the police. You cannot allow this kind of shenanigans, Mr. Egbetokun, to continue under your watch. You know better than this, sir.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Laolo Akonde.
Thank you.
Presidential aide, former presidential aide, and presenter of Inside Sources. I'm not going to tell Nigerians what we call it here, but Inside Sources. Thank you very much for being with us on the program.
Right.
We're going to short break, and when we come back, we've got more conversation for you this Friday on Sunrise Daily. Stay with us.